Folks, what's up? This is Michael, third shift, graveyard, wee hours of the night, with your daily trivia question once again. Oh my goodness, it feels great outside, like a rain came through. I went out there and just played in it and cooled off a little bit. It's awesome. Happy Tuesday. So the answer to the previous trivia question was the Bikini Islands, or known as Bikini Atoll. So a Bikini Atoll are a line of coral islands in the Marshall Islands off the Pacific Ocean that was subjected to repeated nuclear testing campaigns by the good old U.S. government beginning in 1946. This was right after the conclusion of World War II, where we had just bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end World War II, and we wanted to kind of test our arsenal, kind of play around with the powers that we had just a little more, kind of push the envelope and see what we had. So the 100 plus people living on Bikini Atoll at the time, who had lived there their whole lives, basically, they were natives of the island. They were relocated inconveniently to other islands so that the testing could begin. During a 12-year period, 67 nuclear tests were conducted and devices were detonated at various spots on, within, above, and even beneath the Bikini Atoll, all of which caused radiation clouds, mists, radiation debris, significant exposure overall to both natives of the island as well as numerous amounts of military personnel. It's pretty bad. The bombings stripped the entire area of all vegetation, and the craters that the blast caused replaced the coral reef and islands altogether in some aspects that were there. Some of them were 200 feet deep. It was a little bit more power than anybody had anticipated. Basically, kind of the short and skinny of that is. We really didn't know what we were tinkering around with at the time. So due to the radioactive fallout, people who were exposed quickly began displaying signs of radiation exposure, as you can imagine. Some of the bombs are known for creating one of the most significant instances of radioactive contamination in U.S. history. And there were 1,000 times more powerful, some of these detonations, than the atomic bombs used on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end World War II, like I was referencing at the beginning there. So Congress has funded multiple programs over the years to compensate veterans and their families who participated in these atmospheric nuclear tests. And they've paid out millions of dollars to descendants of local natives over time. There is still a website that exists to this day where you can apply if you are a descendant of these natives for compensation and reparations. There's plenty, and I mean plenty, of documentation and YouTube footage of these blasts and these nuclear tests and the people being evacuated from the islands and forced to relocate. As of recent as 2016, Bikini Atoll remains uninhabitable, although some descendants of the natives of the island from the 40s and the 50s have repeatedly tried to move back. The Bikini Atoll remains uninhabitable for humans due to what has been described by ecologists and scientists and so forth who have visited the site multiple times as near irreversible environmental contamination, as you can quite imagine. Nuclear testing continued as was well documented through the 60s and the 70s. And I believe, if my research serves me correctly, as recent as 2017, places like North Korea were setting off and detonating nuclear testing in their areas, which is why it's a hot spot today and will be, and for good, probably forever, and why we'll always continue to have soldiers out there. All right, folks, moving right along. Speaking of communist countries, I guess we'll just go with that theme. For March 8th, a brand new trivia question on this day in 1983, while speaking to a convention of the National Association of Evangelicals in Florida, President Ronald Reagan publicly refers to the Soviet Union as this, dramatically raising the stakes and tensions in the arm race between the two countries. It's also the name of an album of one of my favorite bands. This band right here. Oh, yeah. Let's do this day. Come on. All right, guys. You ready for this? Peace out. Quit it now.